If you're thinking about moving to the Cleveland area, I'm here to tell you 5 reasons you might want to change your mind. Hi guys, I'm Patty sells CLE. Welcome back to my channel, Living in Cleveland, where I make videos about all things Northeast Ohio, Northwest Ohio, and even down south. You know the drill. If you don't want to miss any of my videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Okay, guys, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I was born in Cleveland and I've lived here my entire life. That being said, I grew up in Cleveland in the 1970s when things were not so great for us. In fact, we are still paying the price for our problems back in the 70s. We have a bad rap. We are called the mistake on the lake, and sometimes our response is, hey, at least we're not Detroit. So, we have a tough reputation to beat. Honestly, there are 5 major reasons why you may not like this city. So let's go right after it. Okay, the first thing, let's just get it off the table. I mention it in almost every video. It's the weather. We have snow, yes, and the east side of Cleveland has the snow belt. So that being said, we have beautiful summers and beautiful autumns. Today is October 19th. It is awful out. It's raining. It's cold. We had our fireplace on last night. But guess what? It's going to be in the 70s this weekend and sunny. And last year, I don't think the leaves turned, and I mentioned this before in a couple of my previous videos, our leaves did not start turning colors until November because it was beautiful the entire month of October. We were even on the beach a couple days in October. But yes, in the wintertime, it's cold, it's snowy. Don't think spring starts in March because it doesn't. Sometimes, this past St. Patrick's Day, it was 72 degrees when I was marching in the parade. But we've had times where it was a blizzard, even in April. I remember it was April 20th and it was during the pandemic, and we would have a joke. Mike DeWine, our governor, would come on TV every day at 2 and give us an update on the COVID spread, and we would call it Wine with DeWine. And the one day it was a cold Friday afternoon, and normally in April we are headed up to our place up in the Marblehead area, and we couldn't go because they shut it down because of COVID. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to wine with DeWine because it was snowing. It was the end of April. So let's get that out of the way. Everybody knows it's the Midwest. It's no different anywhere else, okay? I've been to Chicago a bunch of times. And I've been there once. It was so hot in the summertime. There was no reprieve from the heat. And the other time I was there, it was so windy and cold. They call it the Windy City. Their weather is just the same. And I think they have more extremes than we do. So right away, get it out of there. Weather. It's the Midwest. Okay. Next, let's talk about traffic and transportation. Most of the people that I've worked with and most of my clients are people relocating to the Cleveland area. And when they move here, and I follow up with them, the one thing I hear from a lot of people is, wow, it looks like it's so far away to get from A to B, but it really only took us 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah. And especially on the west side and down south, you can get anywhere in like 30 minutes. I don't live in Cuyahoga County anymore. I live in Lorain County, and I live on the far west end of Lorain County. And I can get to downtown Cleveland in 30 minutes. I can get to almost anywhere down south. Strongsville in less than 30 minutes. It's kind of nice. Now, the east side does have some traffic. And I've done this video about Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights. There's no real good way to get there. But you really don't have a ton of traffic to deal with. If you were to work, and if there is traffic, like I said, today's a really rainy morning, and Beechwood, because there's a lot of industry in the Beechwood area. And when I was right out of college, I had a job, and I'd have to drive from the west side of Cleveland to Beechwood. And God forbid, if there was a weather incident, a car accident, you'd be stuck in traffic for hours. And this morning, and because when there is a traffic jam, it makes the news. And they talked about this traffic jam because of the rain for about 5 minutes on Fox 8 News. So going to the east side, in fact, my daughter had an interview. She got offered a job in Beechwood. And I'm like, oh, Maureen, she lives in Lakewood. I'm like, oh, there's just not a great way to get there. And yeah, it says it's only 30 minutes, but if you get caught in a traffic jam, forget about it. So the traffic on the east side, and especially in Beechwood, especially during the rush hour times, is not great. It's nothing compared to Chicago or any other big city. But compared for Cleveland, that's the worst part. Okay, now let's talk about transportation. Okay, we have our public transportation is called the RTA, the Rapid Transit Authority. And that includes our buses, and it's not a subway, it's our train system. And you can take the Rapid from the airport to downtown Cleveland to Terminal Tower, and then you can take it out to the east side. There's a couple spots on the west side, like off of West 150th. There's a couple other places that you can drive to it, park your car for free, hop on the Rapid, and it'll dump you downtown to Tower City. And there's a couple lines going out east to Shaker Square. It's just not that great. I mean, it was fun when we were a kid because I lived by the one on West 150th. We would take it down on like St. Patrick's Day or go down to a sporting event. But other than that, it's really not. I mean, if you live close to the Rapid, we call it the Rapid station, and you can hop on it, that's great. But if you don't live close to it, it just doesn't really do much to you. The bus situation's a little bit better, especially if you're in Cuyahoga County. I used to have to take the RTA. Well, before you had a driver's license, that's all we did. So I was able to get around. I took it to school. I took it to the mall. We figured it out. I would take it downtown when I had a job. So our public transportation is just luckily now it's the era of Uber and Lyft, so that makes things a little bit easier. So transportation, it's kind of a plus and a minus. So plus, there's no traffic. You know, a little bit in the morning if you're living on the west side, you'll hit traffic depending if you're going 90 or 71, going down south, you'll hit some traffic, but nothing too terrible. You just know I have to leave, and it's usually, unless there's an accident, it's pretty predictable. So really not a lot of traffic, but also I don't really feel that our public transportation, it could be better. Okay, so number 3. Okay, we're in the middle of October and it is election season. So I probably wouldn't even put this in this list if it wasn't this time of year. We are a swing state, and the politics this time of year are so annoying. Anytime a commercial comes on, if I have to see a Tim Ryan and a JD Vance commercial one more time, and I'm probably going to see it a million more times before the election day. I grew up in a political family. My dad was always running for things, and we'd have to pass out literature. My cousin Bob was a state senator for 12 years, so I was always in some parade with him. But the commercials, it's just awful, and it gets really ugly this time of year. You see political signs everywhere, and being that, Cleveland's a pretty Democratic, the Cuyahoga County is pretty Democratic. The way they vote, and the rest of Ohio is pretty Republican. We've got a lot of rural areas, so it can get really ugly. So the 2020 election was, it was a rough year. We had COVID, we had the Trump, the Trump campaign. It was politics in this area are pretty heated, especially this time of year. I'm not a fan. I'm sick of the commercials. I'm ready for November. What day is it? 2nd, whatever the election day is. I'm ready for it to be over. All right, so let's talk about sports. Also, just last night, the Indians lost to the Yankees. Our sports teams, they're frustrating. The Browns are terrible this year. We are dealing with the whole Deshaun Watson thing. He can't even play for us. The Indians, but nobody thought we'd get to the second round of playoffs. So, and the Cavs, they're so now, but it was exciting when LeBron, played for us and we won the national championship. But here's what I can say. Yeah, we may not have the best teams in America, but we're the only city in Ohio that has all 3 major sports teams. So that does say something. So if you're looking to go to a Cavs game, a football game, a professional baseball game, we have it all. We have hockey that's not professional, but still they're fun to go to. Soccer. So our sports teams, they're not the best. And it's so frustrating. Anytime, like just last night, Bob Costas was like, everybody feels sorry for us. And they keep, or the Browns game, and they're showing you know, oh, the drive, and that was the last good thing that ever happened to the Browns, and oh, the poor Indians, they just can't make it work, and stop feeling sorry for us. We'll figure it out, you know? So sports, yeah, they're frustrating, but we have them, and we are loyal fans. We watched every single game for these playoffs. My husband's not even a fan of baseball. We love going down and watch the baseball games. We watch every Browns game. We root for them. You know, we are loyal fans. Okay, so sports, pluses and minuses. We have them. They're not so great. Okay, this last one. And if you've watched my videos, I always talk about how much I love Lake Erie. And I think it's awesome that Cleveland sits right on Lake Erie. But here's what I don't like. And here's why we have a place up in Marblehead on the lake. Because Cleveland is situated right on the water. But there's not really anything to do on the water. They haven't developed it. Like Chicago has Navy Pier and things to do right on the water. And we just don't have anything. We have an airport, Lakefront Airport, Lakefront Airport. Oh my gosh. Which that's where all the celebrities fly into. But what a waste of space. We have like a Coast Guard area, which I know you have to have, but it's just, they're saying they're going to bring in some stuff like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is right on the water, which is nice. But they don't take advantage of the fact that we are right on the lake. There are a couple marinas that are on the water. But, you know, if you're looking to do something like, hey, you know, rent a boat for an afternoon, I don't know if there is anything, but I really feel like Cleveland could really up their game and take advantage. And every time we drive through Cleveland, you know, and it's right on the water, we always comment on it. And yeah, I mean, just Sandusky's got it right. And I live pretty close to Sandusky. They got Cedar Point, which is right on the water. The downtown area, they do free bands in the summertime. This Saturday, we're doing a huge witches walk. I'll have to take tons of video. Maybe I'll make a video on that next week. But they just take advantage of the fact that they're on the water. And there's nothing different. Their water access is no different than Cleveland's access. So I really feel like Cleveland needs to step up their game. So that being said, those are my 5 worst things. Right now, it may change. But today, October 2022, these are the things that I think you're probably going to hate if you move to the Cleveland area, especially the Cleveland city. But that being said, you know, with the lake, we have Edgewater Lake. We have Menor Headlands on the east side. We have a Rocky River access. You know, Edgewater Park is right on the water, and they've been really doing a lot of good things. I don't know if they did it this year because of COVID, but before COVID, they would bring in food trucks every Thursday. They'd bring in bands. It was so much fun. You could rent paddle boards. Really fun. So they were really doing a really good thing. They had they built a, it's more than a concession stand because you could get full meals and drinks, but it's beautiful. You picnic tables, it's gorgeous. You know, Cleveland has a lot to offer. We have great restaurants. We have great museums. We have sports teams. We have things to do. We have great metro parks. I've done a couple videos on Cleveland's metro parks. So there's so much to do. And I think more than people even realize, you know, when they've got I've driven several clients, you know, around looking at houses, and I'm like, hey, did you ever know about our metro parks? Like, we don't know anything about that. Like, well, when we're driving from one house to another, I'm going to take you through the metro parks, and they're blown away at our system of parks here in Cleveland. So I do say, you know, I love my town. I think the pros way outweigh the cons. You know, it is. We're turning into winter. I'm depressed. But so is half the country. And I always have to think about that. Like, not all of us live in warm climates. And those people who live in warm climates, because I've been helping a few move to this area from the Texas area, Arizona, Vegas, that we can't wait to get out of the climate in these states. So you got to weigh the pros with the cons. We have great cost of living, plenty of jobs, plenty of things to do. So if you're looking to move to the Cleveland area, you know the drill. All my info's right down below. This is my passion. This is what I do for a living. Feel free to give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. I'm here to help, and I'll see you next time.